1979. Steve has been on the board as long as I've been alive, which is unreal. I do want to thank, being on a school board is a thankless job. It's not a job, it's a service. A lot of people think that school board members get paid, and school board members don't get paid. It is service, it is a lot of time, and it is a lot of dedication, and I don't think anybody truly knows what it is until you're in it and figuring out what that is. So John, you have been a great support. You've always been there to ask questions. You've always been there to dig deeper. And you've always done the right thing in your heart, what you believe is best for the whole community. And that's commendable, and I thank you for that. Steve, 44 years, it's hard to find people that respect and understand public service and respect and understand education as a public service to make the community better. And everything, and I've respected that from you since day one, and I'm going to miss you. I'm going to miss both of you. So thank you for all of the service to the community.
Any other informational items? Okay.
Thank you, family and friends, for supporting.
So your son, yeah, that's great.
Okay, recognition of visitors. Linda Thomas.
Yes, sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, so my name is Linda Thomas, 506 May Street, Greensburg. And I wanted to just take a couple of minutes tonight to make a couple comments regarding a policy that is up for a vote tonight. And that is under section 000 of the local board procedures, under functions 003. So the portion of that I wanted to talk about was evaluation of board procedures, which states, the board shall plan an annual evaluation of its functions as a board. The board may evaluate board procedures, relationships or activities, or focus on a particular area or issue. The board president, working with the superintendent, shall develop an annual plan. I wanted to address this because in my time on the board, I know we struggled to get this done on a yearly basis. It would come up, people would talk about we need to do this, and then just the busyness of the board, it would fall to the wayside. But I also recognize the value of it. I know the value as an individual and being part of various organizations, taking the time to reflect and evaluate, think about what are our strengths, what are our challenges, how can we interact better, how can we function better. So I place a lot of value on that, and I believe this board does as well. So really what I've come to ask tonight is if there possibly could be a statement added to this, or at least some consideration given to creating a more formal timeline, so maybe identifying a time during the year when this would take place, to maybe create more accountability about it getting done. And while I understand that you would not release a full evaluation to the public, could there be some consideration to that accountability to the public to say, we have completed our yearly board evaluation and here is our plan, just so that there is that accountability back to the public to know that you are also valuing that process. So that is what I wanted to bring to you today and put on record as you take that vote. Thank you.
Linda, what, once again, I was trying to find it online.
Yeah.
What was that board procedure number
So
again, please?
000, local board procedures.
Zero.
And then under functions, code 003. And it is the very last thing on that policy, the very last item.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
sure, thank you. Okay, Valerie Stillwagon.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Stillwagon. I live at 308 Culbertson Avenue. This is regarding retirement of policy 903, section 006.3. As stewards of the district, there should be full transparency. In today's technological age, one of the ways to accomplish this is through live stream recording. Not all interested and invested members of our district can make it to each and every meeting, but should still be afforded the ability to view said meetings. Neighboring districts such as Franklin Regional and even Bell Vernon both live stream each and every discussion and work meeting as well as their voting meetings. The district's constituents have a right to see our elected representatives at work. Remember, you were elected to be the voice of the people, by the people. Thank you.
Okay, if I misspeak it, Jen Malott? Did I nail it?
You did? So I emailed,
Address, please, for the.
Jen Lott, 537 Fulton Street. I emailed you guys earlier today. Jeff, yours bounced back to me, and John, yours bounced back to me. So you guys don't know what I'm saying. But I'm just going to very quickly repeat what I asked earlier. Please reconsider voting to move the athletic director to the vice principal position. I would like you to consider maybe hiring a female to fill this role. I feel like the female student body in the high school really could use a person in charge to look up to in that position. And it would also give the male population or the male student body a female in that administrative role to look up to and build that respect for their elders. I didn't have anything prepared, so I'm just like going off the cuff here. I really hope that you guys consider that, and I feel like there's somebody better qualified.
Okay, thank you. Discussion and action on board minutes.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. No presentation tonight? Financial matters report 3.1 through and including 3.8.
Second, O'Brien.
Before we vote on that, I was curious, I saw in there an Audubon pond fund that is to support the pond maintenance at the high school. Is that a renewable grant that is continuing to be used to help support the project that we're putting into play? Or will it continue to help support the maintenance of because we're redoing the whole pond and all of that? Is that something that we are able to reapply for, or is it an ongoing? It caught my interest, and I was wondering if we had details. I know it can't happen necessarily this time, but I don't know. Is that,
I believe that was a donation. that
Oh,
was
it's just a
made
donation.
along- Some of those grants that are listed on there are,
decades old, probably?
they are.
Okay, all right. I was just curious, because Audubon's very well regarded, and, you know,
It's not, I can say this, it hasn't been current within the last year, so.
okay, yeah. Sorry, I
No, that's okay.
spotted it later, so, all right, thanks.
Okay, we did have a motion and we did have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. New business financial matters 4.1 through and including 4.3.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Federal programs, Dr. Nidley. Nothing to report. Board reports, Central Westmoreland Career and Tech Center. Robert.
As of this morning, we had over 30 students from the CTC who are presenting and competing at Skills USA District Competition at Seven Springs. We'll know the results tomorrow night. We're going up for the awards dinner. And last month, I told the board, the Central Westmoreland CTC won the October Chamber. It was a belt that they got. They won the Chamber of Commerce Award for being the business or they didn't want to, since we're not a business, but we give to the community, we're building up. They recognize us for what we're creating infrastructure with jobs, employment, and training our students to move forward and staying in the community. So for a month, we got to have the WWF belt look-alike down at the CTC. So it's the first time one of the schools have been awarded, so we're pretty proud of that. And that's all I have.
Westmoreland IU have nothing. Greensburg Salem Education Foundation, Lynn.
Yes, we are making progress towards matching the $50,000 endowment fund. And we would like to thank the board members who graciously gave a donation, so thank you. And we have 12 students this month who successfully completed the AP testing, and they were reimbursed by the foundation. So this month, 12, we're very proud of it.
All right. Greensburg Community Development Corporation, Brian, you had something?
We haven't had a meeting recently. Our next one will be on Monday, so I don't have a whole lot to report, but the GCDC did help plan and, help plan the dedication of the new Welcome to Greensburg sign. Our marching band went down to perform a little bit for that dedication. The mayor was there, some city council members, so it was a pretty nice event, so just wanted to thank the district for helping support that.
There's a nice picture in the paper too.
Committee reports. Don't think we have any.
We just have the board of the whole.
Board of a Whole coming up. Legal counsel.
No report.
Dr. Bissell, the floor is yours.
Okay. All position approvals are pending governmental approvals, clearances, and testing as required. Under resignations 9.1, recommend approval to accept the following resignations, 1 and 2, without reading.
Second O'Brien.
Motion by Savage, second by O'Brien. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
9.2, rescindments, recommend approval to rescind the following appointment, number 1, without reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Savage, second by Job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, let's do a roll call.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes?
Yes.
Wait.
You
Just
said
said
you-
no.
you gave a
Just
no.
Go ahead, Thread.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr. Gazy?
Yes.
Miss Job?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mrs. Savage?
Yes.
Mrs. Shear?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Metrosky?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Under leaves, recommend approval to grant the following leaves per the Family and Medical Leave Act, not to exceed 60 workdays, 1 through 3, without reading.
So moved.
Second?
Motion in 2 seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion passes.
Recommend approval to hire the following individual for the administrative position listed under the terms outlined in board policy for Act 93 employees. Frank Sundry, high school assistant principal, $85,571 prorated, effective November 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second O'Brien.
Motion by Thomas, second by O'Brien. Allison, will you please do a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Gazy?
Yes.
Miss Job?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Mrs. Savage?
Yes.
Mrs. Shearer?
Yes.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Metrosky?
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
Under athletic appointments, recommend approval to hire the following individuals for the athletic positions listed at the supplemental rates negotiated in the contract with GSEA or otherwise set by the board, 1, 2, and 3 without reading.
So moved.
I heard a motion, and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Recommend approval to hire the following individuals for the supplemental positions listed at the rates negotiated in the contract with GSEA or otherwise set by the board, 1 through 3 without reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes also.
Under volunteers, recommend approval to accept the following individuals as volunteer coaches, sponsors for the 2023-2024 school year, 1 through 5 without reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And recommend approval of the following additions to the list of bus drivers and support personnel for DMJ Transportation, Inc. for the 2023-2024 school year, 1 through 3 without reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to my right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
10.1, recommend approval of the confidential resolution as listed in 10.1.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
10.2, recommend approval of the purchasing representative as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Miller, second by Savage. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
10.3, recommend approval to advertise as listed.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
And 10.4, recommend approval to enter into the stipulation of settlement to resolve the tax assessment as listed.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Job, second by Scherer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
11.1, recommend approval of the following contracted services as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Does-
There wasn't anything.
It's on, it's on the online agenda, it's not in the printed. Can you read it? I'm sorry.
Do you want me to read it
Just
the whole
so
way
that-
through?
yeah, 'cause it
So
was
the motion would recommend approval to the attached service agreement between Greensburg Salem School District and Van Strine Consulting LLC for E-rate application services.
Thank you.
Okay, under board policies, 12.1, recommend final approval for the following board policies, and I'll just read through those. 000, board policy procedures, administrative regulations. 001, name and classification. 002, authorities and powers. 003, functions. 004, membership. 005, organization. 006, meetings. 006.1, attendance at meetings via electronic communications. 007, policy manual access.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Sorry,
Who
Joe.
wants to go first?
Go ahead, you go first. I was just.
Okay, I was wondering if we could table 003, since there was a question on it. Perhaps we need to revisit it and continue discussion.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to table 003 functions.
You could pass it the way it is and then vote for an amendment on the policy. So it can be written that way and you can vote for an amendment to the policy.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
cool with that.
I think the comment noted earlier is valid, and it would allow us to then, move forward with this one that has some of those statements that then we can go through and
Okay, yeah, that's
and-
fine.
and work on.
So I
You're rescinding your
retract,
motion?
I rescind the motion since that's
All right, you're back to the
that's
main
a
motion, Chair.
perfectly
Mr. President.
So,
Workable
Mr.
solution.
President, would like to possibly table 000. After what I heard earlier today, I think at least it may merit a little further discussion.
Which one?
000.
For the before.
First one.
With the policy and procedures that Ms. Thomas asked.
Oh, okay.
That was,
No,
no, she was mentioning 003 functions.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
same
sorry.
thing.
Was that-
Yeah, there was
I'm
like the
sorry.
whole thing.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yeah,
was
with
that
003 functions.
003 functions?
Okay, so, yeah, okay.
So which
We
one?
got a live motion.
It was 003 that Emily brought up, which was also what Mrs. Thomas spoke to us about, which is to move, we can move forward with it. We can make an amendment on the policy so that we can move forward with what's in place now.
If we have 003 functions, we get updated language to help protect legally and other things, but then we can then investigate based on some of
So
those
we can have
comments.
additional adage to it.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. We can always go into any policy
Then
and
I
keep
will
working with
rescind
it.
my motion.
And to address the question earlier, the intent is still to broadcast the,
That's not it.
That's a
You're not
different,
Different.
that's on a different
Okay, my bad.
motion.
oh, that's right, that's a lot. My bad, sorry.
So there is a motion and a second.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes with discussion in the future.
Correct. 12.2, recommend approval of the following board policy, 011, Principles for Governance and Leadership.
Second.
Before we vote, I would like to make a motion to accept instead the revision that was set forth at last week's discussion with a minor revision so that it says, developing a plan for curricula review, discussion, and consideration added to plan thoughtfully by in the revised form that was presented last week.
Did the solicitor have any of that paperwork?
It was what he had.
But the new change is what you added to it.
It's like a minor, like I included the word consideration and discussion.
But you have a live motion on the floor,
Yeah, so we had serious discussion last
Yeah.
week on this.
so you're looking
So-
for a second on it.
Second.
We have a second by Savage. Who was the initial?
Wait a minute,
I
hold
know,
on,
I did
hold on.
second Emily. They
No,
asked
but
me
you
to
have a
second.
live motion on the
We had-
subsidiary motion, which is Mrs. Miller's motion. So what you're gonna wanna do is see if there's a
Is
second
there
to
a
that,
second on Mrs. Miller's?
to amend your main motion.
I just received this, I really didn't have time to read through it.
That was what was last week.
So I'll throw out a third motion to table it, so we have time to review it.
But you need to deal with them in order, so, first of all,
Is there a second on Emily's motion? So that motion dies. Okay.
now we're on to Mr. Conway's
I'm
motion.
gonna, I'll motion to table because I haven't had time to review this one. And I'd also like to see this, this thing that it says we signed. I don't remember signing it, and I'd like to at least review that too. It says something about like the board policies, principles, governance, and leadership adopted by the board and signed by individual school board directors. I don't remember signing that.
Well, it's not an active policy yet.
Okay, all right. Okay, can we see what we'll be signing? I don't remember looking at it, I'm sorry if I missed it.
It would, that's not in there, that would be more of a board admin regulation as to what that would be, but it would basically be
It's
that
in the
that you agree to what that says.
But it's in there as the current active one that's on the policy manual right now.
So the motion's to table it.
So there's
Second.
there's a live motion to table this.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second.
This is the table.
Roll
This
call.
is to table it. Let's do a roll call, please.
Miss Joe,
No.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien,
No.
Mrs. Savage.
No.
Mrs. Shearer,
No.
Mr. Thomas,
No.
Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Mr. Gazy.
No.
Motion fails.
I didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Matrosky. I'm having a bad night. Mr. Matrosky.
Yes.
We're throwing you curveballs, sorry.
Motion fails. 3 yeses, 6 nos.
Okay, Dr. Bissell.
You're back to your main,
You're back to your original.
you're back to your main motion.
We're back to now the recommend approval
For
of 011,
011.
Principles
Wow.
for Governance and Leadership.
So we,
Better roll call it.
yes, let's do a roll. We do have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do a roll call.
Mrs. Miller,
No.
Mr. O'Brien,
Yes.
Mrs. Savage,
Yes.
Mrs. Shearer,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
No.
Mr. Gazy,
Yes.
Miss Job,
Yes.
Mr. Matrosky.
No.
Motion passes 6 yes votes to 3 no votes.
Thank you, Allison.
You're
Thank
welcome.
12.3, policy retirements. Recommend approval to retire the following policies.
It's 3.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm having a bad day.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just,
We're throwing her curveballs, sorry.
I have 2 on the paper.
You ready?
I'm good.
That was good, Jen.
It is
Listen,
12.3.
I apologize. Everything's right online.
Yeah, these are right on there.
Okay, 12.3, policy retirements. Recommend approval to retire the following policies. 1.1, alma mater. 3.1, communicating with board members. 6.2, recognition of visitors at school board meetings. 6.3, recording and transcription of school board meetings. 8, employment of relatives. And 10, or 10, request for public records. And I just want to note that many of these are now in other policies, so it will take away any replication of policy or any contradictory language.
And weren't some of them, because
The
it's
o-
more procedural than, a policy?
So, like the alma mater is
Right.
more procedure than policy, correct?
It's not that we're eliminating it, just to be clear to the public, it's just, it does not need to be in.
Please, yes, we are not eliminating the alma
Let's just
mater,
make
that's not what that
let's make
means.
that
Yeah.
perfect, that it's not going away,
Mr.
it just
Himmler,
doesn't
get
need
that.
to be in a policy.
Did you get that?
Did you get that, Mr. Himmler?
We're
So
still
moved.
gonna say it.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Or second.
Motion,
And to be clear on the recording, the intent is still to broadcast them, it's just not part of the policy, correct?
So the language right now that is in 006, which was just passed, is notations of any tape or audiovisual recordings shall not be the official record of an open board meeting, but may be available for public access upon request in accordance with board policy. Any notations and/or audiovisual recordings of a board meeting shall be retained and disposed of in accordance with the district's records retention schedule. So that then comes down to how we set up our admin regulations within that.
Should
So-
we,
So it doesn't say that it will or won't be done, that would be up to the admin regulations under these board policies.
prior to retiring 006.3, should we make sure that we have the admin regulations or procedures that would make sure that we do have these things so that they are more available to the public? So like, hold off on that one until we get something clear, something that is very clear in place as a procedure.
Again, we would be holding off the policy.
This is more the,
What is our, how do we address this, I guess? You know, maybe we don't hold off, but how do we best next address it?
well, the motion is to retire the old language.
Right,
And that allows for non-contradictory language in different places, and it now allows us time to, we can work on the admin regs
okay. I just,
as we go.
it sounds like this is something that the public and I as well would like to make sure that we have those regs, we have those procedures in place so that they continue to be recorded, so that people who are not able to be here this evening or are able to watch online can catch up. You know, maybe they can't watch tonight live, but maybe they would be able to watch tomorrow. And so we need to be considerate of that, if at all possible, I think. So, I don't know, I guess.
Are you putting a motion up there? Or?
I don't know, just I want to feel out like what's the best next procedure before we make a decision on this. So is that something that we would work with when we talk about, was it policy 003 at the next policy meeting? Is that something that would fall in there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, when is the next policy meeting? When did we get that? I don't have my calendar here.
Yeah, we need to have a reorganization. We're gonna put out the whole calendar, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right,
I trust that the administration, I mean, we've been recording these for years now and had them available, so I trust that it's gonna continue.
So let's go back. Did we have a motion?
Yes.
Yes, you have
And
a
a
lot of
second.
motions.
Second.
Yes.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Middle school musical. 13.1, recommend approval to use Music Theater International's Broadway Junior Collection, Seussical Junior, for the middle school musical production for the 2023-2024 school year as contained herein.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Recommend approval of the following overnight conferences and/or workshops to be attended by district staff, 1 through 4 without reading, and number 4 was an addition since the last meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Thomas, second by Job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Under 17.1, general miscellaneous matters, recommend approval of sponsorship agreement with Eric Nelson as contained herein.
Second. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
Okay, the next board meeting is the board reorganization meeting, which will be held Monday, December 4th at 7 p.m. here in the John N. Scales Legislative Room. And immediately following that meeting will be our next board voting meeting.
Okay, I'll open it up for any questions from the audience or comments. Steve, motion to adjourn.
No, wait,
Adjourn.
before you adjourn, I'm gonna tell you, I did the math. So you've been on the board 44 years, and at 24 Wednesdays, 24 meetings a year. You have given 3 years of your life just to school board meetings. It was 1,056
Seems like
days.
more than that.
But you've done 3 whole years of just school board meetings, not all the other.
That's if you get to sleep.
Steve, we're still not paying you.
I'll send you Mentos.
Cool.
Do we have a motion to adjourn, Steve?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have joined second.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Became your second in the minutes, how about that?